Joining us now, the Dean of the Business College at Liberty University, former Congressman Dave Brat. Dave, great to have you, man.
Hey, John, great to be on. I've still been following you. You're always ahead of the curve, and so very proud of all the work you do.
Well, thank you, Dave. I was saying to my listeners before you just got on, I don't know if you heard, but for 5 years in a row, you came on my show every Monday, 8:05, for 25 minutes, unscripted. We never even said, what topics were going on, nothing. The only times you didn't come on is when you were on vacation somewhere with your family, and we talked for 25 minutes, and you told our audience everything that was going on in Congress. It was so great, how the sausages were being made. I'll never forget one thing you said to me. You were there about 6 months. And you said to me, John, you got to understand who's running the country. It's not the majority leader in the Senate. It's not the president. It's not Congress people. The country is being run by committee chairmen. I'll never forget you told me that. It's so true, right? It's the committee chairman that at the time were running everything. All right.
Yep. And their allegiance to the big money and to big government and the swamp. And now you have been on the China story for over a full year intensively.
Absolutely.
And if the American people reaction to this virus is that they want a bigger government, after the virus gets sent here by China, the biggest atheist, communist, Marxist regime on earth, if the conclusion is that we're going to move in that direction of more big government, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm just losing it. The American people got to see what's going on here.
Well, and, for years, you and I, Dave, and even before you were in Congress, blasting this whole globalist movement, this slave trade network, Goldman Sachs, gangster banksters, moving our manufacturing towards China for cheap labor, saying that, we could buy a can of Pabst Blue Ribbon for 5 cents cheaper because the aluminum was being made there, whatever nonsense they'd been telling us forever. And remember, they kept telling us, manufacturing doesn't matter. It can be in China, it can be in Vietnam, it can be in wherever the cheap labor is. It doesn't matter as long as we get the goods. Now all of a sudden it matters.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And all the Harvard MBAs, right, the brightest people in the room in the country have put us there. The first thing we teach at Liberty in Finance 101 and in every textbook across the country is diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. We put 90% of our manufactured pharmaceuticals in China. What could go wrong? I think we have one mask manufacturer left in Texas, and they lost their major government contracts over pennies on a mask to China from our U.S. government. And, this is just the elites are getting richer and richer and richer. This is all done, on the backs of the small businesses who don't have access. Everyone that's getting these China deals, whatever, are the big guys, right? Big auto, big airlines, big health care, big banking, big everything, right? And we had a half a populist movement with President Trump, and then the Bernie populist movement joined on the left, and they want socialism. And so the American people need to decide to go with the first principles that made this country great and made the whole world great. And so I hope we get back to basics, the Judeo-Christian tradition, the rule of law, and free markets. And free markets means a lot of small firms competing against each other. That's what you want in America.
All right, we're with Dave Brat, former Congressman, 7th District of Virginia. Dave, by the way, has endorsed Nick Freitas to run against Abigail Spanberger. That'll be decided in a convention. We don't know when. It isn't going to be April 25th, I can tell you that. That'll likely get pushed off. So we don't know, but he has endorsed Nick Freitas. Dave, also the dean of the Business College at Liberty University in Lynchburg. So, Dave, got a couple things I want to get. First to the stimulus package, $2 trillion. Obviously, we need it. A lot of people suffering, don't have jobs, small businesses hurting. Nobody's really seen the detail.
Yeah.
Your gut reaction?
Gut reaction is we put ourselves in a bad spot, and now we're going to have to take, less than optimal policy to get out of it. So the magnitude, everyone's pulling out the Keynesian, macro textbook and saying if you're going to lose a few trillion in aggregate demand, you got to fill in the hole. So that makes some sense in the short run in a crisis only. But I hope this is incentivized toward employment, right? The left always relies on an abundance of welfare program across the board, right? But if a person loses their job, then they need health care, then they need transportation, then they need housing, then they need everything, right? The whole key is making sure no one loses their job. And so I hope the churches are out there working on that first issue more than any other. If you can get someone a job so that they keep their benefits, they keep their paycheck, their family life stays good, you don't rely on other crutches. For me, that is just huge. The Germans are doing that to a large extent. We're not focused there. We need to. Art Laffer the other day talked about emphasizing the payroll tax as a way to hammer. I don't think we did that. That would have been a better way to aim at the employment target instead of, what I'm worried about is the helicopter cash again that came after the '08 crisis, and that set up the populist movement. So if our elites don't get what happened, 10 years ago, this is way bigger than that bailout. And if they get it wrong and show that they're listening to the elites instead of the small business person, oh boy, it's going to be really bad.
So you want to focus on jobs, and that's what we do. I don't know what's in the small business loan package. I think they're telling me, Alfredo Ortiz today, Job Creators Network, one of my best friends, telling me that it's crafted on meeting payroll. One of the questions that I've asked him is, well, there's a lot of small companies that their payroll is not reflective because they have 1099 contractors. So how does that work? All this has got to get flushed out, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the German model, Dave Brat, in a minute. We're with Dave Brat, former congressman, now the dean of the business school at Liberty University. Let's get to Liberty University. Your boss, Jerry Falwell Jr., runs the school, opening it back up. Teachers report back, dorms open, kids report back, got to go back to school. That has been, in the media, a decision that has been absolutely skewered on CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, everything, all the left-wing lying fake news media. Walk us through how and why that decision was made.
Yeah, well, and if you want a longer review, I was on Martha McCallum last night on Fox. People can Google that and find out.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, and it just started off. Martha was kind of following the talking points that are out there. That all of our students are coming back and meeting in the classrooms, and we're not paying any attention to anything, and that's just totally false. Some of our students are coming back to live in dorms, but they're all being given online education. They're not meeting in the classrooms. We're paying attention to all the federal, state mandates, all the social distancing, all that on behalf of our kids because we love our kids. And so we have a hybrid approach where we still have a live classroom, right, where the professor is live using Microsoft Teams as a communication tool, video during normal class times, but all done online. And then there's online assessment tools and testing and quizzes and feedback for the students so they continue to get that excellence in education that goes back and forth between the professor and the student. And so, some of the criticism doesn't take into account. We have 110,000 students. We're state-of-the-art delivery of online since 1985. We know how to do it, so we have international students here. We have disability students here. We have students here from New York, California, Washington State, where the pandemic is breaking out like crazy. And what people are missing is maybe the parents think it's better, and they certainly love their own children, to have the students stay at Liberty in the dorms rather than being in New York City or California, et cetera. Right? So it's just kind of common sense. We're national in scope. We have students in every state and most of the countries across the world. And so we love our kids. We love our faculty. Our senior faculty are not reporting in, right? They're working from home. We have all that built in. So, once you get down to the truth of the matter, we're doing all the right things because we try to live out our faith on a daily basis here. We love our kids. We love the faculty. We love our school. And we want to do the best for them.
All right, so basically the way you have it is the school is open, which means all the kids can go back to their dorms, which a lot of people have said are safer than being at home with if you got aged grandparents around. So the kids go back to their dorms.
And even that, I think that's probably 1/5 of the students came back. It was up to them.
Yeah, so if they don't want to come back, so they can come back. Professors go to their classroom, do their teaching, but there's no students there. It's done. Right. It's done on an online platform. But they're actually the professor actually goes to the class, opens the door, goes to the blackboard, whatever they do, they teach the class, give their lecture, it's interactive, and it's on an online platform. So the student is either at home engaged or in their dorm engaged.
Right on the money. Very safe.
Now, what is the matter with that? Why is that coming under criticism?
I don't know. I mean, for some reason, the left the left doesn't have an ethics they can name, and for some reason, the Judeo-Christian tradition is just always a target because we have standards, and so I don't know. But what amazes me is the true cause of this is the virus, and then the globalization, which wreaked havoc on our economy because of the supply chains are all located in China, right? So the press isn't covering any of that. Right? I mean, somebody can win a Pulitzer, right? I hope everyone out there knows, right? The virus came from the Wuhan district, where China's premier viral laboratory is, right? And so, I mean, we still know how that happened. Where are the reporters on that issue, right? Where were the reporters in January? Everyone's, Monday morning quarterback. Everyone's a genius. President Trump missed a beat. Whoops, he waited a week or two too long to do this. Well, maybe they forgot that they didn't report on it back in January, and maybe they also forgot that the Democrats were doing a fake impeachment, right, for 3 years in a row on Russia and then Ukraine and then Kavanaugh and anything they could make up. So the Democrats brought the government to a halt. Nothing could get done. There was no functioning government, and then they have the nerve of the mainstream media to critique the only president in the past 30 years who's been on the march against China and against globalization. And he's been doing all the right things on that. And the Democrats are just stone silent. Not a word from a Democrat. They're just hiding under the rocks because they have no policy proposals. They got nothing to say on China. We had one of the top 10 Chinese leaders in the CCP, one of the top guys in our U.S. Embassy. He was going to spill the beans on all Chinese intelligence. And guess who lets him go? Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, in quotes, in her own book, says, this is going to make the Chinese happy. Right? So the contrast between the election coming up and the candidates who is pro-big government, big swamp, big China relationships to make the billionaires happy, and President Trump, the contrast could be any greater. And I just do not get it. And so the left is always coming after liberty. They're coming after Republicans.